Aberdeen in recovery.
Aberdeen in recovery.
Aberdeen in recovery.
Aberdeen in recovery. We're here for you. Building that bridge from dependence to independence. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to Recovery on Air on shmu 99.8 FM. My name is John. Delighted you could join us this afternoon. Well, it's Alcohol Awareness Week, which is a campaign that's organized by the charity Alcohol Change UK. And the campaign is all the more important this year, given the pandemic and lockdown and the impacts that's had. And the theme for the campaign this year is alcohol and relationships. So loads to talk about. Do stay with us. And I'm joined today by Joan, Dermot, and Alan from Aberdeen in Recovery. And it is my pleasure to introduce Zoe Hubbard from Alcohol and Drugs Action. Zoe, welcome to the show. Great to have you here. And how are you?
Hi, thanks everyone. Yeah, it's really great to be here today. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Excellent. Well, glad you're here. And Joan, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, John. Yeah, today started really well. Was up early this morning with that absolutely brilliant sunny red sky. And yeah, it's great to have Zoe here today. So I'm really looking forward to hearing all about what is happening with ADA and Alcohol Awareness Week as well. Yep.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for that. And Alan, how are you doing?
Yes, thank you, John. I'm really good today. Yes, really positive, feeling really positive today. And yes, had a good meeting this morning and I'm really feeling good. Thank you.
Excellent. Good to hear. That's the kind of positive spirit that, well, I could certainly use any day of the week. And now moving on to Dermot, last but not least. Dermot, it's been a little while. How are you doing?
Hi, John. Thanks. Yeah, it's really good to be back. I've been, I've had some time off, but feeling very refreshed after my time away from all the pressures and the day-to-day work stuff. So yeah, I kind of nervous, really strange. Really quite used to this environment, but yeah, a little bit nervous, but really glad to be back and looking forward to today's show. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. And well, I'm nervous every single time we do this show, so don't worry about that. Now, I think before we get into our conversation, we're going to pause for our first piece of music. And as is a tradition here on Recovery on Air, when we have a special guest, we always invite the guest to bring along some music choices of their own. So Zoe, what have you brought for us first?
Thanks, John. Today I thought we would start with Katy Perry Firework, which I find is quite a nice uplifting tune to crack us off with. So there we go.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again? Do you ever feel so paper thin, like a house of cards, one blow from caving in? Do you ever feel already buried deep, 6 feet under screens, but no one seems to hear a thing? Do you know that there's still a chance for you, 'cause there's a spark in you? You just gotta ignite the light and let it shine. Just on the night, like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em what you work. Make 'em go, as you shoot across the sky. Baby, you're a firework. comes a rainbow. Maybe a reason why all the doors are closed, so you could open one that leads you to the perfect road. Like a lightning bolt, your heart will glow, and when it's time, you'll know. You just gotta ignite the light and let it shine. Just own the night like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em what you're worth. Make 'em go, as you shoot across the sky. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst. Make 'em go, you're gonna leave 'em all Boom, boom, boom. Even brighter than the moon, moon, moon. It's always been inside of you, you, you. And now it's time to let it through. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em what you're worth. Make 'em go, as you shoot across the sky. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst. Make 'em go, you're gonna leave 'em burning Even brighter than the moon, moon, moon. Boom, boom, boom. Even brighter than the moon, moon, moon.
You're listening to Recovery on Air at shmu 99.8 FM. Recovery, a journey of discovery.
Welcome back. And that was Katy Perry with Firework. So it is Alcohol Awareness Week, and we are very fortunate to be joined today by Zoe Hubbard from Alcohol and Drugs Action. So Zoe, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at ADA and how ADA is participating in Alcohol Awareness Week?
Hi, John. Thanks for that. So I have quite an interesting role within ADA. I do I work full time, but I'm split between 2 roles. So half of it I do the social media and the marketing, and the other half I work out in the Shire as a community recovery worker. So I get to see 2 sides of the coin, which I find really rewarding. So this year, due to the COVID numbers, we're still finding that we still can't get to face-to-face events that maybe that we'd enjoyed in previous years. So but our social media is a flood with different campaigns, and certainly taken from the Alcohol Change website, which very kindly put a lot of media things together for us. So I was looking at kind of the stats for the alcohol-related deaths in Scotland, which this year was 1,190, which is a rise of 17% on the previous year. In comparison to the Scottish drugs deaths of 2020, that's 1,339. Now, I'm sure you'll be aware that there's so much noise about the drugs death and how much support there has been in the media for that. But actually, the alcohol figures are only 200 behind that or so. So why? That's just kind of got me thinking, that is that because it's more socially acceptable? Do people not want to touch that because that might affect that precious pint, or, you know? So yeah, I'd like to know your views on that.
Definitely. I think you've got a very, very good point there. That perhaps the very fact that alcohol is so integrated and normalized into everyday life, that maybe a lot of that does just sort of slip through the cracks. But some of those stats that you mentioned really do show how well, the impact that recent challenges of pandemic and lockdown, everybody is struggling to cope, and a lot of people may not be aware really of just how that little bit of extra drinking, perhaps coping drinking, maybe there are many folk out there who are just not aware of whether or not they have a problem.
Yes, that's true. And I know certainly like amongst my own friends and things during the lockdown, an extra, what would just be a Friday night drink then turned into a Thursday night drink and a Wednesday night drink. So I know that a lot of people use that as a coping mechanism during the lockdown. And perhaps what was once a crutch is now carried on into normal everyday life. I'm lucky enough to be part of the Alcohol Action Group, which I work in conjunction with Scottish Families Against Alcohol and Drugs. So we have done a couple of surveys this year, one of which we conducted during the lockdown at the start of the year in January and February. So it's looking at the media messages around alcohol, and we found that in our first survey in January and February, it was all about how you can cope with the lockdown by using alcohol. So these kind of jokes about, these joke memes about, parents having wine in a mug while they're homeschooling, and all these kind of like joke things, like making a joke out of it, but actually that's not a laughing matter. Then we very recently conducted a second survey using similar questions. And so this was in August and September. So when everyone it's now barbecue season, we're now able to go and socialize with everybody. So alcohol in the media was then used differently as a way of coming together, so you either use it to get you through this period of isolation and boredom, or then you're using it again as a way to get together with your family. And are these messages that we really want to celebrate? One of my kind of big kind of issues is, are we teaching our young to kind of, get into drinking? What do they see? One of the particular things that I had seen was you just need to go around the shops and see maybe a teddy bear holding a gin glass, these things that you see in the shops in Tesco, and even like conduct your own survey, go around Tesco, or other supermarkets are available, of course. Have a look and see what there's, especially around Christmas. It's like alcohol is in your food, alcohol is, you've got your gin t-shirts, your fizz, Prosecco, all that, so it's what are we teaching our young by having it like that? I'm hoping eventually that it might just become something like cigarettes. You're kind of a social pariah now, aren't you, if you're seen smoking? So hopefully alcohol will kind of go the same way, but we shall see.
Joan, you've just put up your hand. I think you're eager to interject.
Please, miss. Yeah, I'm really interested that you've spoken about this, because it's not always spoken about, and the focus this year is on relationships, and there's a lot of work that you've looked at and done on relationships, and also it's acceptability. I mean, even at this point in time, the run up to Christmas, that every single advert seems to be around alcohol, and there's so much also alcohol shaming. If you don't drink and you go out, people trying to encourage you to drink. You would never ever get that around drugs. You wouldn't get advertising of drugs, you wouldn't get sponsorship with drugs, but there's still sponsorship with alcohol. It's deemed normal, and it's all normalized. And actually, when you said 1,190, I think that was the number that you quoted, I was actually a wee bit surprised. I thought it would have been even higher than that. I think the under recording of alcohol related deaths, I'm pretty sure in actual fact it would have been much higher. And then of course you've got the alcohol related harms, which are widespread. And one of the effects is on families. I wouldn't necessarily call it as harm as such, but it is in some ways. It affects relationships with others, with families, with colleagues, with with yourself. So I think the focus on relationships, and it's not just about family relationships, it's about wider relationships. So I'm really, really glad you've come along to speak about this today. And I don't know if anybody else has got anything that they want to pick up on that, but we do hear, and it is right that there's a lot about drugs, but I just don't think there's enough about alcohol out there, and the alcohol harm and related deaths. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Joan. And extremely good point there about, of course, bringing it back to the theme of the campaign for this year, which is alcohol and relationships. I think, well, we'll pause for a bit of music now, but we'll pick up on that and speak a little bit more about alcohol and relationships after this tune. And this is the second song brought to us by Zoe.
Thank you. So I thought for our second song that we would go for Natasha Bedingfield, Unwritten. The reason why I chose this one is for people in their early recovery. I think it is a really exciting point where people can get that light bulb moment of, I am fully in charge of what's going on here. So yeah, I dedicate this song to all those people at that point. You know, your life is unwritten, you just go and do your thing.
Can't read my mind, I'm undefined. I'm just beginning, the pen's in my hand, ending unplanned. Staring at the blank page before you, open up the dirty window, let the sun illuminate the words that you could not find. Reaching for something in the distance, so close you can almost taste it. Release your inhibitions, feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you, only you can let it in. No one else can speak the words on your lips. Drench yourself in words unspoken, live your life with arms wide open. Today is where your book begins, the rest is still unwritten. Yeah. I break tradition. Sometimes my tries are outside the line. We've been conditioned to not make mistakes, but I can't live that way. Staring at the blank page before you, open up the dirty window, let the sun illuminate the words that you could not find. Reaching for something in the distance, so close you can almost taste it. Release your inhibitions, feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you, only you can let it in. No one else can speak the words on your lips. Drench yourself in words unspoken, live your life with arms wide open. Today is where your book begins. Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you, only you can let it in. No one else can speak the words on your lips. Drench yourself in words unspoken, live your life with arms wide open. Today is where your book begins, the rest is still unwritten. Staring at the blank page before you, open up the dirty window, let the sun illuminate the words that you cannot find. Reaching for something in the distance, so close you can almost taste it. Release your inhibitions, feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you, only you can let it in. No one else can speak the words on your lips. Drench yourself in words unspoken, live your life with arms wide open. Today is where your book begins. Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you, only you can let it in. No one else can speak the words on your lips. Drench
You're listening to Recovery on Air at shmu 99.8 FM. Recovery, a journey of discovery. Welcome back. And that was Natasha Bedingfield with Unwritten. Well, just before the break there, we were talking about alcohol in relationships. Well, that's the theme for Alcohol Awareness Week this year. It's alcohol in relationships, and talking a little bit about the impacts that alcohol can have on loved ones, friends, family. Dermot, you were about to say something about that.
Yeah, thanks, John. I guess maybe the first thing we should say is that we are not here anti-alcohol. We're not here making a standpoint that alcohol should be banned in any form. Although I am an alcoholic in recovery, and I am quite open and that is no issue for me. My family all enjoy a glass of wine or some, in a party sense. It's a way we would chill down and have some fun. So I'd like to say that we are not here making standpoints that alcohol should all be banned. But what I think is very, very, very relevant is that you can often hear about a lot of talk of gateway drugs. And cannabis is often spoken about a gateway drug. Ecstasy is spoken about a gateway drug that can lead on to harder drugs. The most prominent gateway drug I know is alcohol. Absolutely, fundamentally, and in my own experience, in my own recovery, the time I've been in recovery myself, but also in experiences shared with others in recovery, and the common denominator of a gateway or an introduction to use something that eventually becomes problematic is, majority and percentage wise, massively more to do with alcohol than any other illicit or non-illicit or prescribed misuse of prescribed drugs that I've ever seen. And just simply on that fact, I know that there's difficulties for the guys that gather the stats because of the way this information is collated, because the drug-related death statistics is very specific, and it's a causal factor of the drug that actually caused the death, and it's quite different to the association and circumstances of individuals who are affected by alcohol, and it's more difficult to define the actual specific cause of death by alcohol. That is not to say, and Joan did touch on that she was quite surprised to see that released numbers, but I think if fuller investigation went into, and a lot of the harm that alcohol does to renal organs, etc., if that was taken into consideration, the alcohol-related deaths, statistics and numbers would be treble, if not more, on a national basis. And I say that with a little bit of confidence, just because of being involved, and I think I see lots of nodding heads around about me. Alcohol awareness and in regards to relationships, I do think we will only find out the impact of alcohol during COVID in the next 12 months, when people are coming out of lockdown, when they're looking to get back into work, and as the ladies have said, that afternoon, you're at home, you've done your working day, so at tail end of the week, you might be looking at a glass of wine after supper. You've done your work, so 3 o'clock, you may be having a little glass of wine, and the odd glass of wine ends up to 2 or 3 glasses of wine. So that tolerance and the amount of alcohol that people are consuming, I think the evidence is already there. The sales of off-license alcohol has massively increased over lockdown, and that will have impact. There's a lot of people who have been on furlough, and if hopefully the majority of them are lucky enough to get back into full-time employment. But when you're looking at people 50 plus age gap, and there may be a number of these guys who may not get back into employment, and if alcohol consumption has been a little bit of a crutch over this difficult period, that can very quickly move from being a crutch to a little bit of a dependency, and worries start building, etc. So that will have impacts on your relationships, on your family life, and in any circumstance where an individual is having or experiencing troubles or problems with substance use, and we've all categorized it as substance use because it's all the same, that will have immediate impact on a minimum of 4 family members on an average. So for every individual who is coming in for support, there is an unknown and an undefined other 4 family members, close friends, loved ones that are also affected. So this can have a massive impact. And Alcohol Awareness Week is about raising the awareness of this as an issue. The ladies have said about the amount of advertising that's now on. Excuse me, no, it's not swearing. I nearly swore. That's not a swear word, Dermot. The range of alcohol that's now. I went to buy a card for someone's celebration, a female, and I couldn't find a card without a champagne glass on it. And a congratulations card. I could not find a card that didn't have some reference to alcohol, and that person is in recovery. So they might have been a little bit perturbed if I'd said, here's a congratulations card for your achievements in the last 3 years. Let's go and get drunk. Yeah. So relationships, alcohol. As I started saying, we are not here anti-alcohol, but the prominence, the alcohol industry is very, very good at what it does. Massively good at what it does. And I don't often watch the channels with adverts on it because it annoys me. But when I do, the amount of very seductive adverts for alcohol and gin and bail. Oh, there are other types of alcohol available, but it's making it very, very attractive. So yeah, this is done by a very not manipulative, very powerful industry. And we hope that we are raising the awareness levels that, if you're having a drink, be aware of how much, have a look, play the tape forward. Yeah. Play the tape to the end of the bottle and not just that first couple where it's all nice and everybody's still got their makeup on and nobody's swinging punches at each other. Yeah, play it forward. Yeah, I'll give some of the other guys a chance.
Well, we were talking about how alcohol in relationships, and that there has tended to be a gap in terms of the support that's available for family members of those who are affected by alcohol use. Dermot, you were talking earlier about a new family support group that's up and running, I think.
Yeah, I'll pass over for Zoe to speak about the family support group that runs Alcohol and Drugs Action. Like everything with COVID, there's been a drop in engagement because people weren't getting face-to-face. Not everyone likes Zoom. We did, and we have continued as ADA to avail opportunities for families to come forward and pick up on support. We've had 2 or 3 family members approach us directly, and they are receiving one-to-one support through ourselves. But that has kind of dropped, and numbers have been very, very, very small over the COVID. But we have kept active. I do know that the family group at ADA that still meets on a fortnightly basis, I think, Zoe.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we meet on a Wednesday. So our meeting is is on Wednesday of this week. It's if you want to get in touch, it's still currently being held on Zoom. If you want to get in touch and know more information about it, if you can email us at at Alcohol and Drugs Action, that's all lowercase and full words, .org.uk. You can also phone into the helpline as well, which is 0333 344 8355. And there we cover a variety of different topics. So we tend to think of things for self-care, management of conflict. You know, are you enabling somebody? You might think that you're, you know, protecting them in their recovery, but actually maybe you're enabling them. So, but yeah, that's a confidential, safe space for people to just come along and chat with those that are affected with the same problems. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, please do get in touch. I'm also involved with kinship carers as part of my job in the Shire as well. So, you know, they are quite often grandparents that are looking after children because, you know, the parents were unable to look after the children because of their own substance use. So, so yeah, I mean, the support is available to everybody, and despite the fact it's called family support group, it can be anyone. It can be for friends, whoever is touched in that way that you know, they're alarmed and, you know, alarmed about someone they love substance use.
And likewise, we unfortunately just at the end of October we had planned a conversation cafe event to be held here at Credo in the big hall. Sadly, because of the spike in COVID positive cases, we deemed it poignant to cancel that event just because of the spike in positive cases. I'm just repeating myself, haven't I? But we had to cancel that event. But that event was primarily to try and encourage family members to get together with ourselves and with ADA. And we were looking to pose the Conversation Cafe format is there's posed questions, and you hope to get feedback from people who are directly impacted. So, you know, we have had ideas of what we can do and what we would like to provide for family members, but the best people to give that information is family members themselves. So that was very much an event that we hope to encourage as many family members or affected loved ones to come forward and let us know what it is they would like to do. Now, we will endeavour to try and get that staged again into December, but in truth and reality, with everything else in the lead up to December, we're not too sure. We may have to cancel it, but we will be doing and holding a fairly major event in the, if not December, in the very early part of the new year, to try and identify, because agencies and services such as Alcohol and Drugs Action, clinical and statutory services and lived experience services, we have been looking to see how we can best engage. But up until this point, I don't like to say that we've failed, but we haven't been very successful in what we've done, because there are only a limited amount of people engaging. I don't know how have you felt that at the ADA's way?
I think one of the things that we see quite often is perhaps stigma. Are people too embarrassed? I think certainly within lockdown and being able to engage with Zoom groups and online, it's more of a veil. But maybe now with the return of, you know, going back to face-to-face groups, if people are aware of what is going on in that particular location, you know, people do worry about what their neighbours think, or, you know. So yeah, stigma could be a barrier there, and I think the only way we can get around stigma is by challenging it and talking about these issues. It's the only way we're going to wipe it away. You know, so I think it's a really great idea, Dermot, you've got about this conversation cafe. It sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, thanks, Zoe. Yeah, you were 100% right. Although we haven't had that feedback as yet, but you know, I know we've been party to other surveys that have been carried out elsewhere. Stigma is so very, very damaging to, and it is a massive barrier for people to get over, self and by association.
Well, thanks very much, Dermot and Zoe, for some really, really important discussion there. And it is time to pause for another piece of music, and this will be the third piece of music from Zoe. What have you got for us?
Thanks, John. So for my final choice, I decided to go for it, Sister Sledge, We Are Family. And this is in celebration of the theme, alcohol and relationships, and also in celebration of our working relationship between ADA and AiR. And, and we all work with other organizations. And so it's in celebration of that.
Just begun to get our share of this world's delight. High hopes we have for the future and our goals in sight. We know we don't get depressed. Here's what we call our golden rule. Have faith in you and the things you do. You won't go wrong. Oh no, this is our family jewel.
You're listening to Recovery on Air at shmu 99.8 FM. Recovery, a journey of discovery.
Welcome back. And that was Sister Sledge with We Are Family. And I haven't heard that in ages. An absolute classic. Thanks very much, Zoe. And just on the break there, we were talking a little bit about minimum unit pricing for alcohol. And Alan, I believe you had some good information for us.
Yes, thank you, John. I just took it upon myself since this unit pricing come in. I was just wondering if it actually had any difference or had any effects on people's drinking. So I sort of take it upon myself to do some research and have a bit of, again, since I had a bit of spare time, I just thought, give me something to do. So I just had a bit of did a bit of research and I come up with some, facts, but there is still a long way to go before there's a lot more results to come out. And so there's one or two have come out lately. So it was a lot of this. I got a lot of the stuff through Alcohol Change UK, and so it was a lot of the things are very well. I found it very interesting. It quite opened my eyes a bit, and I wasn't quite 100% sure myself if the research was right. But then this is some of the things that they have come up with, and they actually found that alcohol purchases had decreased by 7.7% in Scotland following the introduction of the 50p per unit of alcohol policy. Well, I personally I found that hard to sell, but that's what they're saying. And if they're saying if the alcohol consumption can be decreased, of course it will reduce the alcohol at the beef. Again, then it'll take all the help with a lot of the issues that we've got. And as Zoe said earlier on, and I will highlight this again, there were 1,190 alcohol-specific deaths in Scotland in 2020, and it is an increase of 17% from 2019 and the highest since 2008. And after significant increases between 2012 and 2018, the number of alcohol-specific deaths actually fell by 10% in 2019. And the experts put us down to show this as early evidence of the success of the minimum unit pricing. But however, of course, the COVID-19 came along, and that's made a lot of people go back to putting up their alcohol consumption. And other things that I've looked at and come across are very interesting as well. Like within emergency departments in the hospitals, there was no evidence of a beneficial impact of minimum unit pricing. So that there had no change in people coming into A&E and struggling and accidents happening, and so that had no impact at all. And also results of an interim study found little evidence of negative consequences, such as using illicit substances. They found it was nobody changed. They thought maybe people would start using other substances, like cocaine, whatever. But this was found to be it was unfounded. And they said minimum pricing had insufficient impact in alcohol-related crime, disorder, and public nuisance. These issues were declining before the MUP, and its introduction had no statistically significant impact. Why do I get all these big words that I can't pronounce? No, it's just, that's me, it's doing it, so it's my own fault. But no, but they say there was no significant impact in that as well. And also, I did a little bit, again, we've just had a budget just a couple of weeks ago, and I was looking into that as well and thinking about how's the results of that as well. And according to the Chancellor, he says that all products will be taxed by alcohol content rather than volume. However, cider will continue to be taxed less than half the rate of beer. Tax on high-strength ciders has gone up by approximately 2p, but it's still one of the least taxed products on the market. And the researchers said that they've come to a conclusion that the budget suggests that there is still some distance to go, whereby it effectively targets and addresses harmful drinking. Now, it also reported that 2/3 of the people took part in this research. What they've said is the conclusion is that they drank about the same as they did before. So it hasn't made much difference to them with their drinking. So that's one thing. Now, what I've come up with as well, as it is, we're looking at the Alcohol Awareness Week and its effect with relationships. I come across another, some tips that I've looked at, and they've come up with this is alcohol through Alcohol Change UK, and the first thing they have come up with is, talk it over, speak to somebody about your problems, and speak to your partner, then just have a chat, then try to work things out. And you also pay attention to your feelings and your behaviors. Recognize the situations in which you tend to drink more than you would. Keep track of your drinking. Record what you're drinking. See, that helps. Find ways to support each other to cut down. Help each other to cut down. Just yourself. Help your partner, your friend, or whoever it is. Help up your friend, as I said, or your partner. Take a break from your drinking together. And I don't think it would work if one of you was still drinking and the other end was not drinking and vice versa. So I think it would help if both of you did it at the same time. Just to support each other through your times. So find alcohol-free ways to have fun. And you can still have fun without having to have alcohol. So there's things coming out there that you can't go and do. You've got hobbies or whatever, things like that. And yes, even if you didn't fancy taking up yoga, yes, have a go at it. Yes. Give it a try. Yes, I've even tried it. Yes. So there's a lot of different things out there. If you actually go and look, find what it is out there. And then, of course, you ask for help. If you're really struggling, go and ask for help. And, you've got Alcohol and Drugs Action, and you've got Aberdeen and Recovery, always here to help and support each other. And look, yes, we're always here to support people. And if you are really struggling with your relationship, get relationship support, get help with your relationships. There's counsellors out there that will help you, get you through it, hopefully get you through that bad times. So yes, I did a wee bit of research, so I hope some of that does help in some way or another. So with that, I'll just hand you back to John. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. That's a wealth of information there and some really valuable tips. So thanks very much. And I do believe we are fast running out of time. And so with that, it's pen and paper time, so to speak. This is where I give you all the contact information as we end the show. So if you would like to learn more about Aberdeen and Recovery, who we are and what we do, you'll find the latest, best information on our website, and that is www.aberdeenandrecovery.org. You can follow us on social media. On Twitter and Instagram, we are Republic_AiR, and on Facebook, we are Aberdeen and Recovery. You can catch up with previous episodes of Recovery on Air on our YouTube channel. Just head along to YouTube and search on Aberdeen and Recovery. Our channel will top the list. And as always, we would love to hear from you. You can contact us through social media, or you can give us a call on 01224 638 342, or drop us an email, and that's chatterbox@aberdeenandrecovery.org. If anyone out there is in need of more urgent advice, please contact Alcohol and Drugs Action Helpline. It's a free phone number, and it's 0333 344 8355. And that number again is 0333 344 8355. And a couple of other helpful numbers for you. Alcoholics Anonymous on 0800 917 7650, and Narcotics Anonymous 0300 999 1212. So that's it from us. That's goodbye from us for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, bye, bye,
And
bye.
special thanks to Zoe for joining us today. And thanks to you for listening. And please do join us again next week. That's Thursday, 2 p.m. for Recovery on Air, right here on shmu 99.8 FM. And finally, to play us out this week, well, it is the return of my favorite band. Oh, yeah, it's the Tragically Hip. And here they are with Blow It High Dough.
They shot a movie once in my hometown. Everybody was in it from miles around. Out at the speedway, some kind of heaviest thing. Well, I ain't no movie star, but I can get behind anything. Yeah, I can get behind anything. Get it out, get it all out. Yeah, stretch that thing. Make it last, least till the shop bell rings. Well, taxi driver, life tells a rhythm, never like to stop. Throws a passion in, something just threw him off. Well, sometimes the faster it gets, the less you need to know. But you gotta remember, the smarter it gets, the further it's gonna go. When you blow it high, go. When you blow it high, go. Woo! Baby, I feel fine. I'm pretty sure it's genuine. It makes no sense, now it makes no sense, but take it free anytime. If a pizza usually gets you, it was the strangest thing. How'd you move so fast into that wedding ring? Well, sometimes the faster it gets, the less you need to know. But you gotta remember, the smarter it gets, the further it's gonna go. When you blow it high down, when you blow it high down. Out at the speedway, same nervous thing. Well, I can't catch her, but I can get behind anything. Yeah, I can get behind anything. Well, I can get behind anything. out at the speedway, saying every